Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. In 2022, just before I moved out of Seattle, I was working at a rather toxic job. I was working at a tutoring center, and I really loved all of my students. But sometimes the way my boss managed the place really got in the way. Let's just put it that way. I can't think of a student or even a subject that I'm teaching, course material. I can't really think of anything that I disliked except for how it was managed. One day, one of my favorite students, he was kind of gifted studying AP chemistry, and he had brought in a really fancy periodic table. And it showed, among other things, pictures of each of the elements and how rare they are in the earth, among a few other important information about each of the elements. And I was just about to show him what a good buying opportunity silver and platinum were. At the time, silver is only 10 times more common than gold in the Earth's crust, which is what his periodic table would show. But at the time, it was 100 times cheaper. Platinum is just as rare as gold, and at the time, it was 2 to 3 times cheaper. I was just about to show him that. And then I looked at the other elements on the periodic table, and I was surprised to see that bismuth is almost as rare as gold. I knew it was a lot cheaper than gold because even then I knew people make crystals out of bismuth. And so I told him about the silver and the platinum, and I said maybe consider bismuth as well. I wasn't sure how much it was going for at the time, but I knew it was way cheaper than gold and even silver. So I told him about that, and I went home to research how to buy bismuth, and I bought a 10-pound bar the first time around. Now at the tutoring center, we often sat at our desks for hours and hours on end, very unhealthy. So I took the 10-pound bar of bismuth to the office to use as gym weights. This was before I even knew how to make art out of it, and I was boasting about how this is going to be worth like more than gold one day. And the rest is history, I guess. And it just blows my mind that had he just not brought that periodic table to the classroom, how different my life could be 3 years later, right? It really goes to show how fragile our life path really is, right? Whether it be for the better or for the worse, right? 2 years after that, I had gone, or 1 year after that, I had accidentally gone to the wrong art show. I couldn't find the art show I wanted to go to, and I was looking at Meetup, I was looking at Eventbrite or whatever it was, and I ended up at a different art show, which was completely outside of my genre. But instead, I saw some people doing paintings of Mondrian patterns, and I did some more reading about it, and I discovered the Mondrian art puzzle, and that's what I love painting at the moment. A week after that, I went to some kind of board game event, and it was an exhibition of various board games, and this guy had put together a board game set using Legos. And that's when I found out about the Lego ideas. And it just blows my mind that had I actually found the right art show to go to, I wouldn't have the Mondrian, I wouldn't have the Lego ideas. It just blows my mind. Now, you got to remember how my attitude in life was in 2023. I was on top of the world with my art projects. Now I had left the tutoring center. I was teaching at a community college. I was on top of the world. The last thing I wanted was to mess that up by looking for a life partner, right? But fortunately now, in 2024, somebody, and this person won't even know who they are, accidentally coughed or sneezed on me, and I got really sick during a heat wave. And when I went out, and quote unquote loitered in the store because of how sick I was, the security gave me heck about it. And I decided that I needed a life partner because the next time that happens, I don't want to go out and get food and water for myself. And so I started by offering one of my friends a reward for setting me up on a blind date. And that event itself has become a butterfly event for him as the friend that offered to do it for me because it got him interested in investing in precious metals. He bought some mining stocks, and so and also I I met some important figures, and not necessarily life partners, but important figures in my life. It blows my mind that had that person not coughed or sneezed on that very particular day, how different my life could have been, right? I'd probably still be very smug about my bismuth art, about my teaching at the community. Oh, no, nothing could bother me, right? Why do I need a life partner? I got myself, I got my art projects. I probably would still have that kind of attitude today had that person not coughed or sneezed at that moment in time. My grandmother passed away on December 5th, 2024. And when I got to the funeral, and I was just reeling from the whole COVID during a heat wave and the harassment of it. I was still reeling from that at the time. And so I asked my grandmother, when she makes it to the other side, to talk to Mary Curry and have Mary Curry set me up on a blind date. When I got back to the hotel, I was convinced that Mary Curry was going to do her magic, and so I went back to an online dating profile that I hadn't used in many years. And when I logged onto it, I was aghast at what I had written all those years ago. I had to start the profile all over again. And it's a good thing I started the profile over again, because you got to understand, in the United States, when I use any sort of online dating, I often have to lie about my age. And the reason for that is a lot of Americans don't take good care of themselves. And when their ID says they're 20, they look more like they're 40. Like the average 20-year-old in the US probably equals the average 40-year-old here in Taiwan, easily. And so I have to lie about my age. And when I recreated the profile after my grandmother passed away, I also lied about my age in the other direction, actually. Um, so that's how well Asians take good care of their bodies, and it just blows my mind that had I not written all those ghastly things, I probably wouldn't have recreated I'd still be using the profile that said I was 21 or 22 years old, and I may not have met the girl here in Taiwan, right? A lot of little details. It really goes to show how one little change. See, anytime you wish you could go back and do something differently, you got to think twice, because you don't know all the other consequences that it might lead to, right? It just blows my mind. 5 events that seem trivial, had they happened in different ways, so it could lead me to a different path. I may not even be alive today if these 5 things happen in a different way, right? It just blows my mind, right?